So the third mistake, lack of crisis comms. This is kind of something similar to publicity, okay? Because you see, right, in today's consumers, right, the way they interact with brands is very tricky to pin down. From getting awareness of a brand via social media or through receiving a thank you for your purchase, it is all about the customer journey. So there are usually many varied steps in between. So having a crisis communication plan is very, very vital. It sets guidelines for when something unexpected happens. It gives you a checklist of what to do, how to communicate, and how to prevent, or even how to react. The crisis communication plan really focuses on how a company responds and how it will communicate with its stakeholders internally, externally. These steps ensure information reaches employees, partners, customers, media, the general public, and any other valuable people, elements that make sense to your company itself. But most importantly, these plans guarantee a quick release of information as well as consistent messaging on company platforms itself. It isn't a matter of it is a matter of when and how you will respond. Now, a very good example would be case study of KFC. When they ran out of chicken, they actually made a marketing campaign out of that PR crisis. They you guys should know, right? We are sorry, we FCK'd up, and then they had a whole copy.
Yeah.
But that actually showed what? It showed empathy to their customers. Like, damn, sorry we can't provide chicken, and sorry that you can't eat our awesome chicken. We feel you, we know your frustration, because we're morons, and they actually, self-deprecating humor is always the best form of humor. It builds rapport, but it is basically, it is part of their crisis communication plan. Okay?
Right.
So, sorry, I forgot to change. Yeah, it isn't a matter of it. It is a matter of when and how you respond. Okay? So the solution, create a marketing crisis management plan from your crisis, which I just explained using KFC. How would you do this? Identify individual roles in the company of who takes up what scope and what responsibility when something happens. Define a crisis. What? Sorry?
Don't blame the intern.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Running out of toilet paper at home is not a crisis. Okay. Providing masks to healthcare workers in the front line, now that is a crisis. Okay, so define your crisis, identify your key messages, and also create a communication guideline. You fail to plan, if you plan to, you know what? I can't get it right. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So always plan. Okay. Now, this is expanding on the first point, getting your crew together and delegating roles. So who will take ownership of what, who is responsible for what, who is going to inform who of what, who will manage what, who will be handling what, who will execute what. We will share these slides, right, Shash?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm just gonna power through, because I only have like 25 minutes left. Oh my god. Okay, so how do you define a crisis, right? Information asymmetry, a change from the norm, and also a serious risk to your company. Not every piece of bad news or negative headline should force you to go DOSCON red or DOSCON circuit breaker. It is an added benefit of this that you identify potential weaknesses you otherwise might not have thought about. So this is actually a very, very good exercise on reactive planning and preactive planning, because in this before COVID hit, everybody was assuming, wow, 2020 is gonna be my year, man. It's gonna be the year I get that six-pack, I get that $1 million deal, and then come mid-January, OMGF, the world goes into Chicken Little. Oh, the sky is falling. Everybody becomes Chicken Little. So if you had a crisis communication plan, you could have well averted and you wouldn't be panicky. Okay?
Yeah.
So how you react publicly during a crisis is likely to define your success. Now, what do I mean by that? Whatever your response is, right, during these tough times, your core values as a company and your main value proposition to your customers will be central in how you tackle these issues. So like I said before, if you treat your customers like tools, right, you'll be like, oh my God, please buy from us, buy from us, buy from us, you know. But if you treat your customers like human beings, you'll be like, guys, I know how you're feeling. We are feeling it too. Let's all, you know, go through this together, because tough times don't last, but tough people do. You know, something like that. And it shows a lot of character in terms of internal cultures, which manifest to external push. Okay?
Yeah.
So things will be moving at a mile a minute. Ping, 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 ping. So despite your best intentions, you really can't control everything, and you can't monitor everything that every spokesperson or social media manager says or posts. So what you can ensure and convey is yourself, right? And your brand and your organization, which is the most important form of information. Okay? So if you remind customers why they came to you in the first place, you have a far better chance of keeping them around. So during this time, what you need to do is to secure lifelong fans. Don't push people away, but draw people closer to you. All right? Okay, so far so good. We're on the halfway mark. Everybody okay?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so what does this comprise of? Basically, 4 things: determine your rules for communicating, set network-specific guidelines, decide on a process, and then create guidelines not only for your employees but also for your organization. Okay. So for determining rules of communication, is really tone of voice, language used. For setting specific guidelines, it's really about considering the different formats, right, that will be used to release official statements or documents or press releases, whatnot. And the last thing, defining your process, is basically about where the public can find credible information. Because during this time, if you are a source of credible information, people won't see you as fake news, and people will actually see you as an authority of the subject.